so much going on. We'll be in Knoxville tomorrow. We know that game is important, but there's also a game in Texas. The game is in Austin. Why is Mike Griffith at the Alamo? That is the Alamo, is it not?
It is the Alamo, Paul, and we need to thank the Alamo for allowing me to do this broadcast. Typically, you got to have special permission. I dropped your name. That was all it took. Alamo folks very friendly and thankful to have us on their property today talking a little SEC football, something we wouldn't normally do before a Texas game until this year. The Longhorns, of course, in the SEC, and making a pretty good bid to win the SEC, and they can take a giant step, obviously, Saturday night if they can beat Georgia.
Listen, I've had the honor of being there, and it is very special, especially for those of us who grew up in the state of Tennessee, because thanks to Davy Crockett and a number of other brave heroes, we were able to give Texas its statehood eventually. I mean, that was a setback, but we overcame it. Griff, I don't mean to get off subject here, but you are aware, are you not? The game is in Austin, not at the Alamo.
I am aware. Yes, I am aware the game is in Austin, Paul. But you are aware that Austin has an F1 race, and it has created havoc for all the Georgia fans that are trying to travel this game.
I do.
So I chose to come to San Antonio, and I don't work for the Chamber of Commerce, but let me tell you, the river work, the river walk, second to none. I enjoyed staying here. I came in a late flight. Love San Antonio. Any excuse that I can get to come to this city, I do. Can't wait to have a great Mexican meal later tonight and visit the Alamo. So I took advantage. What are we, 70, 75 miles away? So took full advantage of staying in San Antonio tonight. I'll be in Austin tomorrow, gearing up for the big game, Georgia and Texas. But absolutely, if I can get into San Antonio, if I can come up with any excuse to come here and visit, I do.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Let's get to the game. We had Cedric Golden on a couple of minutes ago. He seemed very confident of the Longhorns, but so is most of the country. You've experienced it this week. You know what we're talking about. Give us the Georgia version of this game.
Well, I mean, the odds makers are confident too. I mean, we've seen this betting line go from Georgia by 1 to Texas by 5. And why wouldn't you? I mean, Texas looked excellent the final three quarters against Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout last week. And Georgia kind of faded away against the Mississippi State team that a lot of people think is the worst team in the SEC and probably the best 1-5 team I've seen in a minute. But I understand what it looks like and what it could look like if Georgia doesn't play great football. But Georgia has played on the road in the SEC under the lights in some challenging environments. And Texas, conversely, there's some people that question how tested Texas really is. Now, they went on the road and won at Michigan, and that was impressive. Michigan was number 10 at the time, but Michigan doesn't really look like Michigan. And I don't know myself about how good Texas looked in the first quarter. You look a little deeper, and when Quinn Ewers is pressured, not the most effective guy in the country to this point. Now, can Georgia get to him, or will Ewers get to Georgia first? And that's kind of to me, that's the essence of this game. If the Georgia defense can play well, they have not looked like a Kirby Smart defense to this point. They're not forcing turnovers at the same rate they usually do. They're not playing as physical. They haven't been healthy. Can they put it all together one night under the lights and beat Texas? And I don't know the answer to that question, Paul, but I understand why Cedric Golden would be confident. I understand why Longhorns fans would be confident. But having covered Georgia now for, I guess, 7-8 years, I've seen Georgia rise up and play well in some of these big moments.
Yeah, they have. I've also seen Georgia play down in big moments, like 2 championship games against Alabama.
Well, look, you're right, and but this isn't Alabama. Alabama is not the only team to beat Georgia since what, 1990, I think. Am I right about that? I think that's right. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see if Texas today translates to Alabama of yesterday. I'll say this. Sarkisian was part of that 2020 Alabama staff that won a national title. Look, I got all the respect for Steve Sarkisian, Paul. If you're expecting me to come on the air and stand in front of the Alamo and talk bad about Texas, Paul, that's not going to happen. I've got respect for the Texas Longhorns. I think it's a great program, and they put on a heck of a show at the SEC Media Days, and everything's bigger in Texas. All the respect in the world. All I'm telling you is that if Georgia plays their best football game, they've got a chance to win Saturday night.
Okay, there's a lot I want to get to, so let me get your thoughts. Golden picked Texas. Do I detect you're picking Georgia to win this game?
I'm not picking anybody, Paul. I'm not. It's not close enough to the kickoff yet. I got to get a feel for how
What are you?
Georgia looks.
I mean, are you like a guest picker Saturday morning? You can't pick a game on Thursday afternoon?
Well, if you could tell me how close to 100% Michael Williams is, I could give you a pick. But I don't know the answer to that question, and that's going to be absolutely pivotal. They've got to get pressure on Quinn Ewers. If you give Quinn Ewers time to throw,
Mike,
well,
you used to. I mean, I've never heard such tomfoolery from you. I mean, you pick a game and you live with it or die with it. I mean, you're not in Vegas putting out the odds right before kickoff. I mean, I was on some show yesterday. I picked Texas. I mean, I'm not really that afraid of making a prediction. I mean, are you picking Texas or Georgia in this game?
Well, at the moment, Paul, it's a coin toss to me because I don't know the health status.
Okay.
I don't want to mislead
no more explanation
necessary. I've got a responsibility.
Griff, you've done a lot of bizarre things on this show, but at the Alamo, the site of one of this nation's most brave efforts, where so many heroes went down and died because they believed in a cause. Mike Griffith can't make a prediction 48 hours before a football game because he doesn't know the health of one player.
Well, not just one. I mean, this guy is dynamic. When Michael Williams is healthy, I mean, this guy is an absolute train wrecker, a havoc maker. Here's the key, Paul. If they don't get to Ewers, because Ewers has got this.
Hey, Griff, I can AI all this analysis. I just want to know who you're picking to win. That's all.
I mean, I don't really. Again, I need to
stop
see,
right there,
Texas,
Griff. No, not another word. We're just gonna put this as an incomplete because we do not want Mike Griffith standing where. I mean, listen. In the state of Texas, there's nothing more important than what happened behind you. You know that. Remember the Alamo theme. I mean, it has gone on for 200 years, and it's just I'm just bewildered that a man who fought for this country, who represented this country as part of the proud 82nd Airborne in front of the Alamo can't make a call. But let's move on. Enough of that.
All right.
Don't want to get bogged down. Let's talk about. I was in Alabama for 2 days. I was really interested and intrigued by what I heard from Bama fans. What's your view?
I wondered why. Is that why there was a parade? I'd heard they threw the parade for you when you were back in the state.
Yeah, right? So what are your thoughts on what's happening with this big game that you used to be a part of in Knoxville?
Yeah, third Saturday in October, man. It's going to be a classic game. It's hard to believe these teams both lost as double-digit favorites just a couple of weeks ago and struggled recently. I mean, boy, didn't Alabama and Tennessee look like two of the best teams in the country just a couple of weeks ago? You know what, Paul? Here's I still think they are. I think this is going to be a great football game. I think Alabama and Tennessee is going to go down to the wire. I think Josh Heupel has done an unbelievable job there. But I'm going to go with Jalen Milroe in the Tide. I just can't get past what I saw Jalen Milroe do to Georgia in Tuscaloosa earlier this season. When Milroe is at his best, I don't think there's anybody better. And I believe he's going to be at his best in Knoxville, Tennessee. Tennessee had some struggles with Billy Napier. Boy, is he fighting to keep his job. Those Gators were so darn valiant. It's hard to believe they weren't able to pull that win out. But, you know, Florida's got a way of finding ways to lose these days. I'm going to go with Bama. I think Tennessee is playing good, but not at their best right now. Nico's inexperience, I think, it's caught up with them a little bit. And I don't know how well Tennessee's going to be able to run the ball. I mean, if they couldn't score in the first half against Florida, right? I mean, what do we expect against Alabama with all that talent? Kalen DeBoer getting to know the names of his players now. First-year coach, they're getting a little bit more familiar with the system every week. Give me the Tide in that one.
Okay. Griff, so I won't ask you a question that you either refuse to answer or don't want to answer or can't afford to answer because of some political leaning or whatever. But is there anything else in the SEC that you are interested in talking about so I don't waste questions on you?
Oh, wow. All right. We're really going to go there, huh? How about LSU at Arkansas? How about Sam Pittman not losing a bye-week game since his first season? I really like the Hogs in this game.
Okay.
LSU was the dramatic win over Ole Miss. That was wonderful. That might have cost Lane Kiffin a couple hundred Twitter followers. Oh, my God. I'm going to go with Arkansas again. Well, I mean, that's what makes them relevant.
Well, so what's this bailout on Kiffin now? I mean, what's going on here?
I've never been on the Lane Kiffin fanboy train, if you remember. I've kind of brought everybody back to reality with this guy. I don't know how many ranked wins he has. Again, he has a tremendous Twitter following. He does a lot of good things offensively, but when it comes to winning big games, that's not Lane Kiffin. And this weekend, he gets to sit back and watch everyone else and watch the parade passing by, Paul. I mean, I'm just saying, for a guy that had the nerve to come on the air and criticize how you did your job at SEC Media Days, I don't think Lane Kiffin's got a whole lot to write home about these days. I don't even know if Florida wants him anymore. They're more interested in the Indiana
hold
coach.
on. Now, Griff,
They can't
what was
even
it?
spell the Indiana coach's last name, and they're more interested in the Indiana coach than they are Lane Kiffin.
Okay, what was it about 6 weeks ago on this very Thursday, 6 weeks ago, you told us your sources in Gainesville were telling you that the boosters were
they did
divvying up the money, and you're telling me that those boosters are now backing away from Lane Kiffin for Signetti at Indiana?
I'm telling you right now that they're taking a view from 50,000 feet, and Lane Kiffin don't look as good now since he lost to Kentucky. I mean, listen, Florida can hire plenty of guys that are going to lose home games to Kentucky. And that's what Lane Kiffin did. You want to talk about laying an egg and showing you're not ready for the big time yet? I mean, it was the most Ole Miss thing I'd ever seen. Every time you start to want to give these Rebels some credit, they lay an egg or they roll over for somebody. You know, now they got an off weekend to think about it. We're not thinking about them. Did you even know Ole Miss had a bye week? I don't know how many people even looked at the schedule and even cared who Ole Miss was playing anymore. I mean, my goodness, they couldn't finish off LSU, lead the whole game. Listen, we've talked enough about Lane Kiffin and boosting his image more than he deserves. Let's talk about some more deserving coaches in the league, like Eli Drinkwitz. The Tigers got it right. They went up there and took care of UMass. They're coming back home. Watch out for Missouri. They're going to get. That's right.
I mean,
yeah.
Griff, I mean,
really took care of UMass.
I passed a middle school this afternoon on the way over here, and they had kids in uniforms in Pop Warner that could have taken care of UMass last week.
But hey, it's on the look. They needed positive momentum. They won by a huge margin. The Show Me State showed me I'm back on the Missouri bandwagon. They're kind of flying under the radar. But mark my words here, Paul. Don't count out Eli Drinkwitz and the Tigers. Now, Hugh Freeze, talk about a guy coaching for a job. My goodness. Remember when we would see Auburn and Missouri on the schedule and we'd laugh about Auburn, Missouri? Give me Auburn. Now we look at it, we go, oh my gosh, Auburn's in trouble. I mean, who isn't Auburn in trouble against these days? Can they beat anybody? And by the way, can Hugh Freeze get through a press conference without throwing his quarterback or his players under the bus? Hey, coach, newsflash, you might want to try to empower and encourage these young guys instead of blaming them for your losses. Hugh Freeze was brought in there to win games, not to make scapegoats out of student athletes.
Mike Griffith, live at the Alamo. This is one I will never get out of my mind, standing right there. Mike, listen, we're on till 7. We'll be in Knoxville tomorrow, so do me a favor. If you change your mind and are able to take a stand and be brave and make a call in that epic game in Austin, you know how to find us.
And they can find me on DawgNation.com or AJC.com, Paul. And by kickoff, I will have a pick for this game.
And I'm sure right now at the main frame,
Alamo, in front of the American flag.
I'm sure right now at the AJC headquarters, they're standing by going, man, there's a rush of people. They're overloading the system down there to get in line for Griff's picks. Griff, we will see you next week. Enjoy. Find a way home. I don't know where you'll be next week, but I cannot wait. That was epic. Wow, Davy Crockett would have been proud. We will take a break. More to come right after this.